It's happened once again. James Gunn drops another exciting episode of Creature Commandos, and I start realizing he can make me care about characters I never thought I would care about before. In all honesty, justice for Weasel. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brent here back for Geek Variants. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Creature Commando, Episode 4, Chasing Squirrels. And I gotta say, this was another great episode for me. I love what we have going on here. But before I get too much into it, the man whose opinion you actually care about, Will, your thoughts.
This episode was great for setting up for Weasel because I wanted to know what was going on with him, and we get more insight into everything with Cersei and what she was trying to do. So, let's just bounce into it. They end up coming back. Cersei is brought back, captured, so hands bound, and we see that Weasel has a lawyer who has been fighting for him and trying to get him taken care of. Don't know how he came across, but Bates has always been a champion for the criminals and stuff who were wrongfully accused. So we're in we're going to end up getting more backstory on Weasel, later on in the review. But Cersei, this is one of the biggest things. She actually has been shown that her clairvoyance is useful. It has saved people with the tsunami that was mentioned before. And the fact is that she lets Waller peek into the future that she saw, and that visibly shakes Waller to her core. Waller don't shake for nobody. Like Waller is straight up like tough. But the fact is that we see this entire landscape. We see war. We see the princess with soldiers. We see her. It looks like her, next in command, Gorilla Grodd,
Of
who I
all
was not
people.
expecting to see. So that Gorilla Grodd is like her lieutenant, and he is there, and they are running the show. They take over the White House. She is sitting in the Oval Office, just like, yo, I run this at the desk, and we see everybody more or less on sticks outside. Like they are set up. The bodies that I could, count were there's Wonder Woman, there was Batman, there was Peacemaker, Vigilante, Starfire, two bodies that look similar to Robin and Hawk Girl, and Superman with David Cornsweat's, the that at the new S logo is on the chest. So again, this is setting up possibly for the future of Superman and what's going on. So Creature Commandos is going to carry on throughout the like this looming threat. I don't think we're going to get the actual threat, like know exactly what it is just yet, but Creature Commandos is setting it up. And as the DCU movies drop us with that, we're going to start getting more and more on it, and that's just fantastic storytelling. Like I like it, I love it.
Everyone loves a good long-term storytelling, and everyone loves what James Gunn has done thus far. Because we're also hearing rumors, and again, this is just a rumor, don't take this as fact, is that the Batman and the Penguin are rumored to be potential assets for the DCU and incorporated as Penguin 2 season 2 is being in conversation right now, which again I have mixed feelings on, but we'll talk about that another time. But this universe being incorporated and built up as well as it is currently, just with the current DC IP that they've put out, they haven't even pulled out the big hitters yet. Wonder Woman is still waiting in the wings. We still don't have a Martian Manhunter. We barely have a Green Lantern. We are just now getting a trailer for Superman tomorrow morning. Things are really being built up here, and we're getting a lot of interesting backstory on characters that I never thought I'd care for. Dr. Phosphorus, Weasel, Rick Flag Sr.? You think I'm supposed to care about these characters? Well, I do. James Gunn has convinced me in no uncertain terms. And then again, like you're talking about with Amanda Waller, she doesn't punk for anybody. When in the Justice League storyline, Batman appears outside of her shower holding her towel, not a flinch, not a stutter, just, hey, can you leave real quick while I get dressed? not even shaken whatsoever. Cersei's vision with Gorilla Grodd and everything that was transpiring around her, Waller was on her knees holding her hands. Like she was shook. So it's absolutely crazy to see what we had going on here. And then from there, we got a little bit more backstory on one of our weirder characters, Frankenstein. You want to talk to folks about that?
Frankenstein, we already know he's been pursuing the bride and trying to get her like, hey, this is mine. She's supposed to be mine. We saw all the stuff with the tourmaline necklace and how, she was with the doctor. She does not care for him. He cares for her to the point to where he's delusional. He's like, yeah, she's playing hard to get. She does these things because she wants me to chase after her. So they're like, really? She has visibly tried to take you out several times through
In an entanglement,
the
if you will.
montage that we've seen. So the fact is that he creates this bromance with Rick Flag over both of them trying to get the girl that they're after. Because Rick Flag's on some stupid stuff right now too. Both of them trying to get the girl they're after. It's hilarious in itself, but it's only going to end in failure, in my opinion, because I don't think Frankie's going to get any semblance of, the bride. Like I think she's completely done with him. But again, it could be a turn at some point where it's just like, nope, she changed his mind. I don't know what's going through James Gunn's head, but he set it up. But Rick Flag, that part there, him and his son, yeah, him and his son. Whenever it's a female involved that they get involved with, so that they are willing to throw away everything that they've done, everything that they've worked for, everything that they've been a part of, so that for whatever this female is. We saw it with Rick Flag and the Enchantress in the Suicide Squad. We see it with Rick Flag Senior and the Princess. So they need to start staying away from these women with S's at the end of their titles. Like I don't know. I mean, it's dangerous. He knew her for all of 5 minutes, freaking bumped uglies, and then just like, yo, I need to protect her, and just goes completely off script. And so now the
Abandons
bride,
the U.S., everything he stood for, his times in service, all the tours he did, his entire team, to the point he disobeys Waller and says, I'm not going to carry out this mission. So the bride gets put in charge of carrying out this mission, hence why him and Frankenstein are now going to be besties, because they're going to go save this princess, and then, he's going to be a hero, and Frankenstein's going to look great. And then the bride's gonna go ahead and be like, "Oh yeah, you're doing such a great guy, Frankenstein," and they're gonna fall madly in love because these two have like the IQ combined of 40. Like these two are not critical thinkers, but if you need someone to fight, they can go ahead and do it. So we kind of go back to prison. We kind of see what's going on here. Someone tries to punk Nina. Bride doesn't have any of that.
nope.
Beats the snot out of this individual, and now everyone on the team seems to be getting along. But here's the critical part of the episode. I'm going to let you take the folks through it. Weasel
Weasel.
has his dream that shows exactly how he ended up where he did. Talk to the folks.
So it's the truth about Weasel, and again, Weasel is a character who in the Suicide Squad, he was just kind of there. We don't know what was going on with him. He manages to survive. He's just a survivor, period. So with this, and we actually get more context, think more of the context of Rocket Raccoons with that. He had a good life, whatever it was during the moment that he was deemed like bad. He was getting some food from these kids that he was playing with. They offered him food. He's playing with them. Everybody's having a good time. Somebody who's out there collecting mushrooms sees it and is just like, oh, it's a werewolf. It's something that's attacking these kids, because again, their perception is just, I see this. Nobody comes up and asks questions. Nobody comes up and talks with that. What's going on? Nothing. Just goes to get a weapon, calls the police, so that, and then pretty much starts firing in the general direction. There's children in the direction, unsupervised children, by the way. These children are running around. They go inside the school. They find alcohol. They find matches. They're playing around, and basically you see everything, the spark, the fuel, everything to set the place ablaze. And they accidentally started. And while Weasel is trying to protect what he can, we see the guy come in and cause, all the children to be hurt, because he's firing rounds again haphazardly, not paying attention to where he's at and what's behind him. and hits the little tank. Everything lights up, big explosion, several kids injured. One that Weasel is trying to look at, and kind of, we lose him right there on the spot. So the one girl that he was playing with, the one that was the first to befriend him, he's doing everything in his power while taking shots, literally taking shots to protect her and get her out. And the cops that show up, they only see him with a girl in the mouth, and they are trying to attack him. They are trying to, take him out with no regards to the little girl whatsoever. Like, they see him running with her in his mouth, and they shoot him where he falls. And instead of running to rescue the girl who has a log like kind of fall on her, so that, and fire and stuff coming down, they both immediately go to subdue him, and no one is going after her. And she sits there, and everything collapses on top of her. Weasel is taken into custody, and it's just absolutely horrible. And it's heart-wrenching for Weasel, who was doing his best to protect his new friend. Like, I am upset. I liked Weasel from the beginning, and this is just not here. So yeah, justice for Weasel. I hope his lawyer, freaking Betty Bates, gets everything to get him taken care of, because he shouldn't be in there. He was minding his own business.
And Justice for Weasel would be a perfect name to wrap up and encapsulate what's going on here, because he took not one, not two, 3 shots directly through his body. And rather than self-preservation be his only thought, he only thought of that girl and trying to save her every step of the way. And as he's being dragged away, you can see Weasel is actually weeping for the fact that his friend is likely going to be no longer with us in this moment, as he's being, hauled away for crimes he did not actually commit. So the fact that Weasel has been managed to be charged with all these crimes and everything going on, absolutely asinine, absolutely crazy. Justice for Weasel. We need to figure out more of what's going on with Cersei and going on with the princess. Next week, we're going to get our showdown. It looks like everyone's going to kind of meet up and kind of have a kumbaya and see exactly what we have going on here. Very interested to see what we have in that. Any final thoughts you want to have for the folks?
No, I say we don't know if the girl survived. We know justice with Weasel, he needs justice. He's still being haunted by those dreams. We see Nina having that moment with the bride, and I want to see how that trust, because we haven't really seen what Nina's going through. So Nina and Dr. Phosphorus, we're going to get their backstories here soon as well, and see what happens. And honestly, I'm hoping that all these characters transition to live action at some point, because I think it'll be a lot better for stories, long-term storytelling, if you keep all this, the whole war storyline or whatever's going. Like, I want to see it, but that's just hopes and dreams.
And again, I'm excited to see my favorite character from this series thus far, Dr. Foster's backstory. I love his wit. I love his sarcasm. Don't mess with my friends, but be sure to mess with that lovely subscribe button. It's free. It's down below. Greatly helps us out. We appreciate each and every one of you who goes ahead and hits that lovely subscribe button. Dr. Foster's, always remember, you're not just ugly. You're not without your food. We'll see you in the next one.